What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about the hardest parts about living in Norway. Now, for the most part, Norway is considered one of the best places to live in the entire world. Norway is beautiful, the people are kind and respectful, there's low crime, people are wealthy, there's great education and great healthcare. So today, we're gonna flip all of that on its head, and we're gonna learn about some of the criticisms, some of the not so good things about living in Norway, some of the hardest things. And we're gonna watch this video here, which is by an American who is living in Norway, and what he has noticed are some of the hardest things about living in Norway, especially compared to living in the United States. So I feel like I'm gonna really relate to this and maybe learn a few new things about Norway. Well, why it can be difficult to actually live in Norway or adjust to Norway. So that sounds really interesting, and let's take a look.
All right, y'all, so here's the first reason why you probably should move out here to Norway.
Number one, Norway is very cold. That actually probably deserves to be number one. That's funny to say, but it is huge. And especially for Americans, we are used to a pretty mild climate. It gets very warm in the summer and warm in the spring. For a large part of the year, it's warm and comfortable, and we can go out in the sun and do things, and it's just normal. But in Norway, that's not so normal. And it's not just cold, it can get much colder than I would be used to. So this is a funny one, but it's so true.
So if you're from California, especially like me, but if you're from a place in the world where it's warmer outside, you are not gonna like Norway. I'm pretty sure that for like 6 or 7 months out of the whole year, it's cold. So
6 or 7 months of cold. I didn't know it was that extreme, actually. I thought maybe it got colder in the winter. But winter, in America, it can be like 3 months, 6 months of cold. That would be very difficult for Americans to kind of get over, because we're not used to that. I have mad respect for Norwegians. How do Norwegians get used to that? I guess when you're born in such a condition where it is part of your life that it's a colder climate, you're just used to it. It's just the way it is. And also Norwegians go on lots of vacations and stuff, right? So even Norwegians have ways of coping with it, I think.
if you're a person that does not like the cold and can't handle it, is not used to it, and doesn't have an open mind to adapt to it, then I probably would not move here to Norway because it's pretty cold.
That is a very valid criticism. Not even a criticism, just a fact of life. That's one of the hard parts about living in Norway, especially for foreigners, especially for Americans. Dealing with cold, for sure.
Number two, if you don't like having snowball fights, don't move here. People here love having snowball fights, and if you're in public, people will randomly throw snowballs at you, and you just have to kind of throw one back and kind of start playing the game.
What?
No, I'm playing with you, man. I'm playing.
Okay, I was like, he's joking. He's joking. Norwegians don't just randomly throw snowballs at you, do you? Or I think he's kidding.
All right, man, the second reason why you probably shouldn't move to Norway.
Okay, limited fast food options. This is so American. This is fantastic. Yeah, Americans like myself, we are very, very accustomed to having tons of fast food. Tons of it available. Everywhere. On every other street, there's a different fast food. It's always available, and Americans love it. So this is... Americans might struggle in Norway with this. Although, it'd be a lot better for our health to be in Norway. A lot better. That's funny.
The fast food options are limited. That could either be a good thing or that could be a bad thing.
it's a good thing. Like, it's honestly a good thing.
For me, coming from America, as you guys probably know, we have a lot of fast food, and I'm not the healthiest person in the world, but actually moving to Norway has helped me a lot with that.
Yeah.
Because out here in Norway, all they have is McDonald's and Burger King. That's the only fast food main chains they have.
Wow, that's it. No Arby's or Wendy's or any of the others. Like, oh man. It's funny how many fast food places we have. But Norway has McDonald's and Burger King. No KFC or, okay.
They don't have Taco Bell, they don't have KFC, they don't have In-N-Out, they don't have Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, none of that, y'all.
Wow.
So if you're a person really dependent on fast food, Norway probably isn't the best place. But if you're trying to get your diet right and you're a person that can't like be around a lot of fast food.
Exactly. It would be good for Americans to go to Norway because the temptation wouldn't be there. That's amazing. That is, I don't know if Norwegians do this on purpose. Like, don't have a lot of fast food, but I admire that. That is really good, but it is also something that would be very difficult for Americans to get used to. But it'd be good for us.
And that's kind of your way of being able to get off of it. Then hey, Norway's a perfect place, man. You got McDonald's and Burger King, and there's not that many. There's not that many like in cities and stuff. Like in my city, there's only one Burger King and only one McDonald's. If I was back home in
Wow. That's crazy. Because in America, there is a McDonald's every couple miles or more. Like, there are so many. They're everywhere. You see them all the time. So many in one city or one town. There could be 10. Wow.
In America, and I was in a city of this size, it's not that many people. I think it's like 30,000 people. But still, there would still be like 3 or 4 McDonald's in the city.
Yeah.
All right, so the third reason why you probably shouldn't move to Norway.
Okay, it is hard to make friends. Interesting. I like the list. It's like, it's cold, there's no fast food, and then a more serious one, it's difficult to make friends. Is it because Norwegians are just more difficult to become familiar and build up trust, and it's more difficult to become friends with Norwegians compared to Americans, I think. American relationships are a bit more surface level, I guess, in a way, and Norwegians it's a bit harder, a little more meaningful, huh? This is a good one.
To be honest, it's kind of hard to make friends. So if you don't know a lot about Norwegian people or Norwegians in general out here, most people out here say, and I can agree on this, that they're introverts. So a lot of people out here just keep to themselves, man, and a lot of people kind of have the same friends that they grew up with and kind of stick with that same friend group for their whole life.
Yeah, that's difficult. When people kind of make friends in their childhood or at school, and then that's really it. When you're trying to come in as a foreigner and penetrate those friend groups, that's difficult. I can see where that'd be hard, and Norwegians are more introverted. This makes a lot more sense, and this would be difficult for Americans, because Americans really like to socialize, and it's very, very easy to become friends with Americans. We are very open in that respect, which is nice as well. Maybe more like superficial, though.
So if you're trying to look for new friends, a lot of people out here aren't really open to it. And I don't want to say not open to it, but everyone's kind of just used to that same friend group that they've had their whole life.
Right.
So if you're really like an extrovert and you like making a lot of new friends and you're kind of out there, Norway might be a hard place for you because a lot of people out here aren't really social to strangers, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Then you'd just be in Norway. You'd be cold. You wouldn't have any McDonald's, and you wouldn't have any friends. Sounds difficult if for some.
Obviously, still possible to make friends, but it's probably harder than it would be, like in America or somewhere like that, where everyone just talks to everyone.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I am
really, really interesting cultural differences here. Really interesting.
I'm slipping around. All right, reason number 4 would probably have to be the darkness.
Dark for most of the day. That's crazy. That's huge. That's kind of like how it's cold. It's a difference in climate between Norway and the United States. The cold would be very difficult for Americans to get over, and the darkness as well, because Americans, we are very, very accustomed to being able to go outside most days of the year and not even have to think about the weather or the that it's going to be dark. That's not even a thought. So this would be pretty huge, actually. Wow.
So in
Man,
the
I didn't know. There are some tough things about living in Norway. These would be difficult for Americans to get used to. I totally relate to this. Do Norwegians have a difficult time coping with any of this? Like cold and darkness and no fast food? Or no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's amazing.
the wintertime here, you can expect the sun to go down around 3 p.m. and the sun to come back up the next morning at around 9 a.m. So I can't.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. 3 p.m. And is he in Oslo? Like somewhere as south as Oslo. The sun can go down at 3? 3. I can't believe it. That would be very difficult. That would be very, very, very difficult. In America, like I'm used to 6, 7, 8, 8 o'clock. Like a lot, 7 or 8 when the sun goes down. That's massive. That's 5 hours, 4 or 5 hour difference. Wow.
Can't really do the quick math, but you only have a couple hours of daylight a day. And during winter right now, a lot of Norwegians get what they call seasonal depression, to where it's always dark and it's always cold and it's kind of like you just get
Yeah.
depressed. And for
That makes so much sense. Of course. That would get to anybody. You really have to, like, I don't know, hang out with your friends or figure out some kind of hobby or go skiing. There's stuff you can do in the wintertime as well. But you really have to adapt to this stuff. Wow. Huh. And I understand why it could cause seasonal depression for sure. That sounds like it could really get you down.
for me, I mean, the snow actually helped a lot because before it was snowing, it was kind of dark all the time, rainy, and it wasn't light, it was just dark. But now that it snowed, it's actually helped me a lot. And it
Huh.
kind of, it's like a breath of fresh air because it's like something new. And I think a lot of Norwegians can agree on that the snow kind of helps when it comes to that. But yeah,
Yeah, so it's better. It could either be dark and just nothing, or it could be dark and there's like snow, white, fun snow. So that does the snow make things a little more enjoyable, I guess? More pleasant looking, and you can go skiing and stuff like that. Huh. Interesting.
yeah, man, if you can't handle darkness for most of your day when it comes to wintertime out here, then Norway's probably not for you.
So that's the winter time. Is that like a couple months during the year? Or can it be up to 6 months during the year? No matter what, that is extreme. That is extreme. 3 o'clock darkness. Wow.
But
Wow.
in the summer, the sun basically doesn't go down out here in most
Ha!
places.
Ha!
So
Wow.
it's kind of interesting.
Wha- It's so there's a big trade-off. Wow. And in the summer, you can just stay out till midnight because it's the sun is up. Well, that's cool in a way. I think I would rather it be like in the middle, like here in the United States, like just sun is out till 7 most of the year. That I like that. I think that's a good medium. Norway is very extreme, very very extreme on each side. Wow. Huh.
All right, so the fifth reason why you probably should move to Norway is
Uh, why it might be difficult or you shouldn't live in Norway. Speaking a foreign language. You should definitely be trying to learn the language. If you're the one living in a foreign country, it is up to you to acclimate to that culture. It is a sign of respect. And also, if you just expect to get around in Norway and become part of the culture and truly have that experience, you need to learn Norwegian. You need to learn the language. And then, as you're learning, if you're having difficulty, I'm sure Norwegians would be more than willing to speak to you in English and help you understand things. But I know that people really appreciate when foreigners put in that effort to learn the local language. I think that's important.
the language barrier. So believe it or not, most Norwegians actually speak really good English, and I'm actually super impressed for moving out here on how well they speak the language. Like, this country probably speaks the best English out of any other country that I've heard of, to be honest.
Yeah, Norwegians are so amazing at speaking English, and I think that's actually a bit of a trap for Americans who are going to live in Norway, because Americans probably think, "Oh, I don't have to learn Norwegian. Everyone speaks English. I'll be fine." But you need to learn how to read it so you can read all of the signage and all of the Norwegian letters when you're in Norway. And again, just to be respectful, that is the language of Norway, Norwegian. So although this might be very, very difficult for a lot of Americans and foreigners to kind of have to do, it's a very big skill to pick up a whole nother language. I do think it is necessary.
But still, there is a language barrier, and people in public obviously kind of expect you to speak their language.
Yes.
So say you go to a store or you go anywhere, they're going to speak to you in Norwegian. I mean, it's obvious. You're in Norway.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to adapt to that or not willing to learn the language, it's going to be tough for you because you're gonna have to learn at least a little bit to live out here, especially if you're going to get...
Yeah, I mean, totally. The more he talks about it, the more I'm like, if you're in Norway, it might be hard, but just to survive, to communicate and read things and buy things, yeah, you gotta learn some of the language for sure.
Get a job or work or do anything out here, you're gonna need another language. I mean, every day you're gonna have an encounter with a Norwegian. If you go to the grocery store, the clerk's gonna speak to you in Norwegian, so it's gonna be kind of annoying if you're not gonna learn any of the language, and everyday life's just gonna kind of be a little, but honestly...
Yeah, I get what he's saying. It is a difficult part of going to Norway or living in Norway as a foreigner, but it's so necessary.
When it comes to the language, I feel like that's any country you move to. So if you move to a country that doesn't speak your language, I mean, you're gonna have to adapt to it.
Yes.
So when you move to a new country, you know what you're getting yourself into, man. The sixth reason why you probably shouldn't move to Norway is...
the gas prices. The gas prices. That's something, one of the hardest things about Norway is the gas prices. Wow, how different are they compared to the United States? Now I'm curious. Because I know stuff is a lot more expensive in Norway, but is gas in particular? Gas?
The gas prices, y'all. So gas out here converted to US dollars is like $10 a gallon. Hey, a lot of people...
What? I'm so glad that he actually said the number. 10 US dollars per gallon. That is like 3 times the amount. Like, that is a 300% increase. Why is it like that? Why is it like that? What? That is crazy. That is more expensive than I even thought in my mind. I didn't know what to expect, but that's wild.
People in America are complaining about $5, $6, $7, but hey, you come to Norway, you're gonna pay 10.
Oh yeah, when it got to $5 in America, people were losing their mind. Losing their mind. 10 in Norway, wow.
And that's why a lot of Norwegian people have electric cars. And most people out here are going electric. Like literally 1 out of, I think, every 3 cars is electric, which is...
Is that actually why? That's probably a big reason. It's good for the environment. And electric cars are much cheaper on gas, which is crazy expensive. I did not know that.
Crazy. And I think in a couple years, they're actually going to go 100% electric and not even sell gas cars. I'm pretty sure. Hey, let me know down in the comments if that's a fact or not. Reason number...
Wow. Okay. Well, this is so interesting. These the most difficult things about living in Norway and hearing about these reasons. These are so interesting and really highlighting a lot of the differences between American and Norwegian culture. And honestly, just a bunch of stuff Americans would have a very, very hard time getting accustomed to. But it's so fun to learn about these differences. We're only halfway done with this video here, so I am going to have to stop here for now and continue the rest of this in part 2. So if you've enjoyed this video so far, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in part 2 of this video, or just more videos like this in general, me reacting to Norway and Norwegian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.